Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Selenium Tech Automation. In this video, I am going to discuss about a very important interview question for every automation test engineer. Okay, so for every automation test engineer, so they will face one interview question that is called as explain about the OOPS concepts we have used inside your automation framework. Okay, so explain about OOPS concepts you have used inside your automation framework. Okay, this is a question where each and every automation test engineer will definitely face during their interviews, okay, when they are attending for interviews. Okay, so here automation frameworks means, so either it will be data driven framework, or it will be keyword driven framework, or it will be hybrid framework, or it will be cucumber, or it will be page object model, or it will be test ng. Okay, so here framework will be any kind of the framework, but when we are developing this framework means we have to must and should use these OOPS concepts inside our automation frameworks. Without these OOPS concepts, there will be no framework where we are going to develop. So that's the reason why must and should we need to use these OOPS concepts inside our automation frameworks. Okay, so here OOPS concepts means, as we know already, that is the first concept here is interface, then the next one here is polymorphism and encapsulation and abstraction, and the last one here is inheritance. Okay, so these are all the different OOPS concepts where every automation framework have must and should. Okay, must and should, that automation framework will consist of all these OOPS concept. So now I am going to discuss about each and every OOPS concept in a brief way along with the example. So please don't skip this video and please watch this video till the end. This will helps you a lot during your interviews. Okay, so first we will discuss about the concept called as interface. Okay, first we will discuss about the first OOPS concept here, that is interface. Okay, so for this let me open my Eclipse here. Okay, let me open my Eclipse here. So as you can see here, there is a statement called as driver equals to new edge driver. Okay, so we all know the basic statement used in all our automation frameworks, that is driver equals to new edge driver, or driver equals to new Chrome driver, or driver equals to new Firefox driver, or driver equals to new Safari driver, which means based upon the requirements we are going to use that particular driver where you are going to automate your application, right? So here if you come to this line number 19, okay, if you come to this line number 19, the WebDriver itself, it is an interface. So here I am showing with you an example of the driver which I am using here, that is edge driver. Okay, so here WebDriver, it is itself, it is an interface. So when you have mouse over on this particular WebDriver, it will tell you like it is an interface. You can see here it is represented with some I, which means it is an interface. Okay, so here WebDriver itself, it is an interface. So based upon the given statements, we are initializing the edge driver browser. Based upon the given statements, we are initializing the edge driver browser using of Selenium WebDriver interface. Okay, based upon the given statements, we are going to initializing the edge driver browser using of Selenium WebDriver interface. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are simply creating the objects of driver classes and we are working with them. Okay, what we are doing here, we are simply creating the objects of the driver class. So here driver class is edge driver, and then we are going to working with this line, right? That is line number 19. So which means we are creating an object with reference variable as driver of the interface. Okay, here we are creating, okay, here we are creating an object with reference variable as driver of the interface WebDriver. Okay, so other examples, okay, this is the best example for interface concept where we are using inside our automation framework. Okay, there are few more other examples for interface. So the first example here is web element. Okay, web element is also an interface. Web element is also an interface. Okay, web element is also an interface. At the same time, we have different wait conditions, right? That is WebDriver wait is also an interface. WebDriver wait is also an interface. So and then we have some JavaScript executor as well. Okay, and we have one more interface, that is JavaScript executor, and also likewise we have many are there. inside our Selenium. Okay, so these are the remaining examples for interfaces, that is web element and also WebDriver wait, and then followed by JavaScript executor. So likewise we have multiple number of interfaces. Okay, so here, so you can consider this as an example for this interface concept. Okay, so next, what is our next concept here? Okay, what is our next concept? That is about polymorphism, right? So that is about polymorphism. So here there are two types of polymorphisms in Java. Okay, there are two types of polymorphisms in Java. They are, what are those different types of polymorphisms? The first one here is method overloading and method overriding. Okay, method overloading and method overriding. Okay, so this method overloading, we can call it with different name also, that is compile time. Okay, compile time polymorphism, and also static binding, and also early binding polymorphism. There are different terms for this particular method overloading. The first term here is compile time polymorphism, and then static binding polymorphism, and then early binding polymorphism. You don't confuse when interviewer will ask you about early binding. So here early binding and compile time and static binding, these are the common terms for the method overloading. Okay, don't get confused here. And if we come to method overriding, means method overriding also we can call it as late binding, dynamic binding, and runtime binding or runtime polymorphism. Okay, these are the three different names for method overriding. So here there are two different types of polymorphisms. The first one here is method overloading, and the second one here is method overriding. So here polymorphism allow us to perform a task in a multiple ways. Okay, so here polymorphism allow us to perform a task in multiple ways. Okay, so here polymorphism will allows us to perform a task in multiple ways. So here, for example, if we can consider an example for polymorphism here is, you can take a person. Okay, when that person is living in his home means he can act like a parent, or he can act like a son, or he can act like a daughter, or he can act like a father, or he can act like a parent, right? So here this person is behaving in multiple ways based upon the scenario. At the same time, this person, when he moves to the office, so there he will work as a colleague or an officer or an clerk or an attender. When the same person is coming to the society, he will be a good citizen, which means where, I mean, polymorphism, which will allow us to perform a task in multiple ways. Okay, so now we will see the example for this polymorphism for both method overloading and method overriding concept. Okay, method overloading and method overriding concept. So first we will discuss about compile time polymorphism. Okay, that is also called as which one? Compile time polymorphism, also called as method overloading, and also called as static binding, also called as early binding. Okay, so these are the three different terms for the method overloading concept. Okay, so here a class having multiple methods, okay, a class having multiple methods with the same name but different parameters, that is called as method overloading. Okay, a class having multiple methods with same name but different parameters, that is called as method overloading. At compile time, Java virtual machine knows which method to invoke by verifying the signature of the methods. Okay, during the compile time, Java virtual machine, that is JVM, knows which method to invoke by verifying the signature of the methods. So here signature of the method means, okay, the variation of parameters what we are passing. Okay, so here implicitly wait is a best example for method overloading concept. Okay, here implicitly wait is the best example for concept of method overloading. So let me show you that example now for compile time polymorphism. Okay, so let me take one. Okay, so let me take one example here for your reference. That is, you can see here I have written here driver dot manage dot timeouts dot implicitly wait of duration dot off seconds, right? So here it is the latest syntax. Okay, this is the latest syntax for the version of Selenium, that is 4. Okay, if you have the below version of 4 means you need to use this syntax, that is driver dot manage dot timeouts dot implicitly wait of 10 comma time unit dot seconds. Here you can see, as I am using currently my Selenium version is 4 dot version, so that's why I am getting this deprecated warning message. Okay, but in the latest version of Selenium you need to write the syntax in this way. So here if you consider this compile time polymorphism example here, so here we are passing the different parameters here. Okay, in implicit wait we used to pass different parameters such as either it is seconds or minutes or hours, okay, depending upon the requirements of our automation framework. So if I press dot here, you can see here of days, of hours, or of milliseconds, of minutes, of nanoseconds, of seconds, of long, or of seconds of long, which means method names with different parameters. Okay, the method name here is same, but the parameters what we are passing here is the different. Okay, so that's why it is the best example for method overloading or compile time polymorphism concept. Okay, compile time polymorphism concept. Okay, so here you can take this example for your explanation during your interface about, interviews about which one, about your compile time or method overloading concept. So now we will move to the next concept here is runtime polymorphism. Right, our next concept here is runtime polymorphism. So here runtime polymorphism is also called as method overriding and also called as dynamic binding and also called as late binding polymorphism. This method overriding polymorphism we can call it as runtime polymorphism or late binding polymorphism or dynamic binding polymorphism. Okay, so here what is method overriding or runtime polymorphism means? Okay, what is method overriding or runtime polymorphism means? So here declaring a method in child class which is already present in the parent class, that is called as method overriding. For example, so if you can take one laptop, so inside that laptop there is a folder called Selenium Tech Automation. So now what I am doing, for this laptop I am copying one file from the external device, that is from one memory card. So where it is having the folder called as Selenium Tech Automation. From this memory card, okay, from this memory card which is containing Selenium Tech Automation folder, I am going to copy the Selenium Tech Automation from memory card to this laptop. So where it is already existing the Selenium Tech Automation folder. So during this time you will get some message like this is already containing one folder, so you want to replace the existing folder or not. Okay, which means we are overriding with some new thing which is already existing. Okay, so in simple words overriding means, okay, in simple words overriding means to override the functionality of an existing method. Okay, so here, okay, so here in simple words, okay, so in simple words, for example, yeah, let me show you. In simple words what we are doing here, okay, in simple words overriding means to override the functionality of an existing method. Okay, so in this below code of snippet, okay, in this below code of snippet we are assuming that the browser value which is coming from, for example, an Excel file or XML file, so where we are considering it as a data driven framework. So we are going to create an object for this particular required browser and we are storing in the reference variable of the parent interface, that is called as WebDriver. Okay, depending upon which parameter values we are passing from the Excel sheet, this init method or driver initialization method will initiate the or will return the corresponding browser. Okay, so here consider an example for this method overriding concept. Here this is an example. So here what I am doing, I have already Chrome driver I have initialized and Edge IE driver I have initialized and Edge driver I have initialized. Okay, internet, driver dot new IE. One second, Internet Explorer driver, right? No, it is not coming. Okay, no problem. So we will ignore this part now. Okay, so what I am doing here, new Internet Explorer driver, right? Yeah, This is the correct line for this statement. Okay, so here what I am doing, from this below code snippet, so here you can consider this as a data driven framework. So we are creating the object of the required browser and we are storing it into the reference variable, that is driver. Okay, here we are creating an object, so then we are storing into this reference variable, that is called as driver. Okay, that is called as driver, right? That is called as driver. Okay, and then what we are doing, we are storing into, we are creating an object here, then we are storing into a reference variable called as driver, which is an object for this particular interface, that is called as WebDriver. So depending upon the parameter what I want to pass, so that parameter I am going to fetch it from the below code snippet. Okay, so here this driver initialization method will this driver initialization method will instantiate and it will return the corresponding driver or corresponding WebDriver. So this driver initialization method will initialize, it will instantiate a driver and it is returning that particular driver what we are expecting, or it will return the particular WebDriver what we are expecting. Okay, this is the best example for method overriding concept here. Okay, based upon the requirement I am going to initialize one WebDriver here with the help of creating an object of this variable driver. So then I am instantiate this particular WebDriver. So based upon the requirement, this driver initialization is going to return when WebDriver called as driver reference variable. Okay, this is a best example for method overriding. So now we will move to the concept called as encapsulation. Okay, so now we will move to our next concept, that is called as encapsulation. Okay, so now we will move to our next concept, that is called as encapsulation. So here encapsulation means what? So here encapsulation is nothing but a mechanism of binding code and data together in a single unit. Okay, here the definition of encapsulation is mechanism of binding code and data together in a single unit. In other words, these classes will have some private instance variables and corresponding public getter and setter methods. Okay, in other words, these classes will have private instance variables and corresponding public getter and setter methods. Okay, so here let me open my Eclipse. I will show you the example for this one as well. Okay, let me go to one page, that is called as electronic page or cart page or anything you can take. Okay, or cart page or electronic page. Okay, so here what I am doing here. Okay, so here what I told, in other words, these classes will have private instance variables. Okay, private instance variables and corresponding public and getter set methods. Okay, public getter and public setter methods. So all the POM classes in any framework are an example of encapsulation. So all the POM classes in any framework, that is page object model classes, are the best examples for encapsulation. Okay, so here I am showing, right, this is one page object model class, so where we declare the data members. So here the data members means web elements. Okay, here the data members means at the web, here the data members means at the rate find by, which means these are all the experts, right? And the initialization of the data members will be done using of constructor. Okay, so now I have initialized, all these data members here. Okay, all these data members with the private access modifier. So then what I am doing here, I am going to initialize with the help of one constructor concept here. Okay, with the help of one constructor concept here. So what we did, we set all the instance variables as private. Okay, we set all these instance variables as private, so that these private values cannot be accessible directly by the other test-ng classes. Okay, as this is a private variable. Okay, it is not possible to access by other test-ng classes. Okay, so in this way we can achieve the encapsulation with the help of page object model classes. So here this is the best example, means, so here, okay, all the page object model classes are the best example for which one? Encapsulation. And all these instance variables and corresponding public getter and public setter methods are the best example for encapsulation concept. So here you can see private access modifier I have mentioned for this particular private instance variable, okay, at the rate with the help of at the rate find by annotation. So the initialization of data members, so here if I want to initialize all these data members means I have to use constructor to utilize all those methods, okay, to utilize all those methods, because all the private access modifier web elements or data members are not possible to access by the other testng classes inside our page object model, okay. So as we said, these data members are private and we are hidden in the implementation from one class to another class. So this is the best way to achieve the encapsulation in our automation framework, okay. So this is the best example, that is these are the declaration of web elements with the help of page object model classes, okay. So it is the best example for achieving the encapsulation concept, okay. Next we will go to our abstraction concept here, okay. Next we will go to abstraction concept here. So what is an abstraction here? So an abstraction is the methodology of hiding the implementation of internal details and showing the functionality to the user, okay. We are showing the necessary details only, that is functionality only we are going to show to that particular user. We are not going to show how we implemented the logic, okay, which means abstraction is the process of hiding the implementation of internal details and showing the functionality to the users, okay. In page object model, okay, in page object model, okay, in page object model we are writing the locator such as id, name or xpath in each page class, right. So we can utilize these locators in page object model class only. We can't see these locators implementation in the test, right. So here you can consider, so all these web elements we have initialized, I mean we have just initialized, but we are not going to see how these web elements are implemented for the tests, right. So but we can't see these locators how they are implemented at the test, right. So literally we are hiding the locators from the tests here, okay. Hence abstraction concepts are implemented in our framework with all these locators, okay. So here abstraction is the methodology of hiding the implementation of internal details and showing the functionality to the user. In page object model design we write the locators such as id or xpath or name for each page class, right. So we will utilize all these locators in page object model class, but we cannot able to see the locators implementation at the test level, okay. So let me show you one test here, okay. So you can consider here this is a test, okay. So here we are not able to see how that particular locators are implemented here, okay, how the locators are implemented here. For example, if you can open this login page, okay, if you can open this login page class, so here we have initialized this, okay, here we have initialized all these web elements, but we are not able to see how these elements got initialized inside our login page class, okay. So here we are not able to see how those locators are implemented. So that is why in this way we can achieve this abstraction concept in brief way, okay. This is the best example for achieving the abstraction, okay. In this way you can explain your uh, you can explain to your interview, okay. This is the best example for abstraction concept, okay, where we are not able to see the how the locators got implemented to the test classes, but we can implement these locators at page classes only. These are the best examples. Here we implemented, but when you move to the test at test class level, you are not able to see how those web elements got implemented or initialized, okay. Here you can see this is our actual test class. Here we are nowhere we are finding that xpaths here, but we implemented internally, okay. That is the best example for abstraction concept. Next we will go to our next concept, that is called as inheritance, right. So our next concept here is inheritance, okay. So our next concept here is inheritance, okay. So here So here extending from one class to another class. So here what is an inheritance means acquiring the properties or behavior from one class to another class, means from base class to child class or from parent class to child class. So whatever the properties we are acquiring from parent class to the child class, so that is called as inheritance concept here. Okay, inheritance concept here. So I will show you the example here in the same way. So what I shown you, right? So the same example I will show you here. So here you can see here what I am extending here. So with the help of, okay, with the help of extends keyword, I am acquiring the properties from the generic class. Okay, so if I want to use any one of the method from the generics class, means so we need to use a keyword that is called as extends keyword. How you can achieve inheritance means with the help of extends keyword we can acquire the properties from base class to child class. So here generics is my base class and electronics page is my child class. Okay, so if you go to the generics class, so for example I want to use this particular method. Okay, that is sorry, so I want to use this particular method that is called as, okay, let me show you in a brief way. So here I am using one click operation here. Okay, so nothing, I am just extending that generics class, right? So that's where I'm finding it now. Okay, here I am using this generics class. Okay, here I am using this generics class. So where this generics class is containing that application launch, so this is my application launch method. So where I have written at my parent class or base class, that is called as generics. So now this application launch I am going to use inside my which one, test case electronics cart. Here you can see, okay, here you can see I am extending that generics class to this particular electronics cart. Okay, so with the help of extends keyword. Okay, with the help of extends keyword. So how you can achieve the inheritance means with the help of extends keyword we can easily achieve the which one, extends, I mean which we can easily achieve the inheritance concept here. Okay, so in this way you need to explain to your interview each and every concept where you have used. If you are using extends keyword inside your framework means that will cover you the inheritance concept. If you are using @find by annotations inside your framework means that will cover you the abstraction concept. If you are using driver equals to new web driver or new edge driver means that will cover you the which one, either it will be interface or it will cover you the polymorphism concept also. At the same time you can cover the inheritance means the whatever the concept what I have shown you just now. So these are all the concepts where you need to explain to your interviewer during your interviews. Okay, so those are called as the encapsulation, okay, the interface, the polymorphism, the encapsulation, the abstraction and the inheritance. Okay, so these are the different concepts we are using inside our automation framework development. Okay, so please guys, thank you so much for watching. Please drop a like for this video and also please share our video to your friends or colleagues so that they will also learn the concept what I have discussed just now. And also please subscribe to my channel if you are new to here. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. We will connect with our next video. Okay, so until then take care everyone, have a nice day. Signing off, Selenium Tech Automation. Bye guys.